Just imagine having a beautiful family like this. Then at some point, there comes the need of having to open yourself up to invite a total stranger, somebody from absolutely nowhere. Maybe you might think you have a little info about the background here and there, but then you have to accept this individual as part of your family. It's time for Let's Talk Relationship. My name is Asiedua Akomia. My guest is seated for this conversation. We are continuing the conversation that we started last week on adoption. We had Samuel Anaglate here last week who explained to us the types of adoption that we have. He even mentioned that if you have adopted a child and your neighbor tells their child that he or she is adopted, that's a crime. And he or she could go to jail for that. Sure. If you didn't know, well, there you have it. Today, we are going to continue the conversation. We are going to look at it more in marriages. How do couples gear themselves up for such a decision, or to, invite somebody else into the family, emotionally, psychologically? What happens to couples? If there are other children, how do they accept this total stranger as one of them? And so seated with me this morning is life coach Kweku Adumata, and he is going to tell us all about it. Every single thing that we need to know how to prep ourselves inwardly, outwardly. Please get ready to be interactive with us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook, it is Joy Prime TV. Our WhatsApp number is 055-157-5757. But before we invite our guests in to say hello to you, before we get into the conversation, we were on the street to ask a number of people what they think of adoption. Take a look.
I'm in a situation where I don't know, maybe if the fault is from me or from her. We shouldn't just be hypocrite. Try to just, be so selfish stuff. Because the problem might not only be the lady, it might also be me. We should consider both options, right? Okay. Be it me or not, whoever it is, I can adopt a baby. There are so many babies in the world. Why are we even forcing to produce more?
No, because I need my own child. So I'm supposed to go try another one, see.
But for me, I'm an adult. Me so I mean Jawari. Bakwa kofa minuanom ma na me no mat na semi ameba na mahwe semi ameba. Omiye me amede.
If only the woman agrees, because she's the one that I'm living with, so if she agrees, I don't have any problem.
So, mo check say then a problem na sana. Mo decide say mo adopt. If
the situation come where we marry 5 years go, no children, 10 years, 15 years, going to 20 years, I go like to adopt a child. It is not a crime for doing it. If you adopt somebody, we take good care of the person. Later the person will fit sign your name, and still your name remain. You understand? Still your name day. Even if you die, somebody will be bearing your name. You understand?
So, for the free media, or about Jamie. So, in free media, I never tell someone about Libya can already find. Sorry. The Tiawa. Don't tell them what you can tell more. Organizam Bible, and I'm the acquired sorry in the Bible. So, I don't do yet to say they are more margin. And the audience are any other.
You better find an alternative. Either say, you better call hospital. Me, I heard the problem with free first. Say problem free me. I will see how I can do it. Say with my resolve issue, no, once and for all. And I say, me fight different way. Me be a message for ban for 4. I can home. Say free media me for ban for 4 I can home. Nah, what you say? Just you jadi and so I want to what in there. So then it's say.
You know that some husbands they don't really disturb about giving birth, or they are very understandable people. Not all of them, but I wouldn't adopt a child, because in this world you can raise someone that at the end that person will become your evil, or like they will become so like ungrateful people. Do you get what I'm saying? So I will never.
And on the note of this very last person speaking when we did the Vox Pop, or when we went on the streets last week, if you remember, Prophet Moses did mention that there are some spiritual aspects to it when it comes to adopting a child. Because sometimes if you do not do some spiritual work or spiritual investigations to find out certain things about the individual before you invite them into the home, before you realize they could sometimes even break your home, they could end up becoming something that you least expected that they could ever become in relation to it being evil. Anyway, so, and then also last week, Anaglate, who is a vice principal for School of Social Work, did mention that there are two types, relative adoption and non-relative adoption. So today we are going to focus more on relative adoption. My guest, I did say early on, is seated with me this morning. Life coach, Koku Edumata. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you?
By His grace, I'm doing well.
I hope everything is fine. You're smiling. I like the way you're smiling while you're like, yeah.
You're stopping.
Yeah, you're living good.
The Lord.
Everything is fine. It's the Lord. We thank God.
I said, no, this is what I always say. Today, have you been able to count the heartbeat of your heart? You took it advantage of it. But then the moment you can to realize that your heart is beating, give glory to God.
Amen.
The day it will stop, that's the end of you.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you realize that your heart beats, then do the right thing. Get it closer to God. So it's God.
We thank God.
Yes, dear.
For being God in our life.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's come to a topic for discussion today,
Yes.
relative adoption. One of the individuals that, spoke on the street did mention, talking about, instead of she going for somebody outside, she would rather adopt a relative, a child from her family. Now, let's come to how emotionally, when couples have to come to the decision that maybe we are trying to have children, but it's not working. So how about we take, my sister's daughter, my nephew's son or something, and adopt this child emotionally? What can this possibly do to couples?
Sister, thank you, and with greetings to all viewers. You see, when it comes to this issue of adoption, I want to go and take my sister's sister, relative. We got to be very careful.
Okay.
We got to be very careful because the intent of you bringing the person in the house is totally different from those sending them to you.
Oh.
All right?
Okay.
So let's look at it this way. If it actually is me, you and me, Esedua, we've come to a point and then there's no issue, there's no child.
Yes.
And they go like, Kaku, can I bring my sister's son or daughter?
Yeah.
The first point is, how do I see it? Is it for you or for us? Or is for me?
Or to satisfy my own...
Fantastic.
Right.
Good.
Okay.
So you proposed it. Yeah. I need to accept it by way of debating and looking at it. So is it that we are too desperate looking for a child? If it is like that, or medically we've realized that, you have a question mark, I also have a question mark. Nobody will come, no child will come. Fine. That halts it. Then we go like, okay, so your sister's daughter, how do we ask? We debate it, we discuss it. Now remember, your sister is your sister.
Yes.
But I'm not married to her.
Right.
All right? And so when the child comes, remember the child is also a father to somebody else. So who will let go of that child? That is what the conflict is.
Okay.
So when you bring this child in the house, or we take care of, and then the child is doing well, you realize that the real parents fantastic,
want to try to come back.
Maria, the war, take dominion, take possession, and oh yes, if it had not been
That's
me,
true.
would you have gotten this?
That's true.
So we shouldn't take it lightly. We should have a very deep decision as to who is coming. Because you see, at times, come and help us and let's see how we can. And then when they grow to a point, they want to be possessive.
Because, you know, sometimes I also think about it from the perspective of there's a high possibility even the parents of this child are not capable financially, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally to be that available for the child. And then you have a relative or a sibling who is well and able to take over and do that for you. Goes on agreement with you, and then you go on a truce. You accept it. So why is it that after you see the child blossoming, blooming, you would want to...
Haven't you said it before? When I first met you, you were zero. Now you are a hero. Everybody is singing for you. We are also coming to fetch. You see, that is the trait of every human being. I know one lady said on the street, people are ungrateful. Having done that, is that my price? Some come and assume authority over the house, thinking that had not been me, what is your reputation?
Well, where would you have been?
Where would you have been? So we need to be very careful. And this is when you're doing, it got to be well detailed discussed. So that come tomorrow, nobody will start sort of accusing and wanting to become who they are not in the house.
But in a situation where all parties have agreed,
fine,
you do not know how tomorrow is going to be.
That is it.
Because you know that the parents of this nephew or niece of yours have accepted. Your husband or your wife has accepted. Everybody is on the same table.
How do we treat for the child to become ours? Is a dual. It's a dual. It's you and me. So what I say, what I say, what I say is, okay, do you buy into what I say? Or you rather put yours in there? Because at the end of the day, we are growing. I always say that you're one war and you're all right, so the one that gave birth is not there. But we are the two more responsible as to nurturing the child.
That's true.
And so we need to be able to be in the same path to make sure that the child becomes the focus. At the end of the day, we are implanting something in the child's life. And at the end of the day, we are trying to also say that we are the pillars, but we don't own the child. Except when the child gets to 18 and he goes like, oh, daddy, you are my daddy. The other one is my daddy, but the real one is you. They have some kind of a line like that. But these things are dicey, and we need to take our time and do it right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are still on the conversation of adoption. Last week, we started it. This week, we are continuing. We've been joined by Anaglate, who is the Vice Principal for School of Social Work. Good morning, Samuel.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Last week, you gave us very interesting keys. So this week, we are continuing. We are throwing the focus more on relative adoption. And I did ask Kweku about emotionally what that has on couples if they are to decide, or one of them is to decide to go in for a relative adoption. And he's spoken quite a lot. He said quite a number of things. But then last week, you were on with something in relation to relative adoption. So I want you to just throw a bit more light into what really the procedures would be if I have a relative that I'm interested in adopting, let's say, a nephew and niece or something. What exactly do I have to do?
All right. So last week I tried to explain that before a child becomes adoptable, then the child should really be adoptable. Yeah, because myself as a social worker, I don't have any right to declare any child adoptable.
Okay.
So even your relative, you can't declare your relative adoptable. There is a committee that declares children adoptable. And there are so many things that they look at. And then, you know, at the end of the day, we are trying to find out giving your child to somebody to adopt, is that the best option for the child, especially?
Okay.
Because what is the problem? Why can the problem not be solved? Often we hear people say, oh, I have a sister who has a child and she's struggling, so I want to adopt.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is that adoption is such that once the other party or the other person adopts your child, every right and responsibility that you have over your child has been transferred legally, permanently, from you, the biological parent, to the other person that is adopting the child. It is not adoption is not reversible. So if you are giving your child to somebody to adopt, the understanding is that
you no more have
you don't have a child
over the child.
You don't have the child. You don't have a child. That particular child, you don't have it. And so, you are only related to one of the parents of the child.
Yes.
So if your sister gives you and your husband her child to adopt, that your sister loses responsibilities over the child to you and your husband. And so what happens is that, God forbid, if you should divorce, okay, that man who is not related to the child is not the relative of the child. Your sister has no right over it.
Provided there is divorce.
Yes.
When divorce comes
in,
the man no more has rights over the child.
No, that man has right, 100% right over the child, as much as...
Still has, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So most often we think that because it is my sister adopting the child is still in the family. Technically, no.
Oh.
You get it? Because there's another person that is involved. So that issue of relative adoption is something that should be seriously looked at.
Yes.
Because often we have people coming in and saying that, and I met this man, he lives outside, he wants to, or maybe my sister is in the States, wants to take my child to the States, so wants to go through the adoption process.
This is somebody who is willingly coming to you to ask them to help her give away her child.
Yes. So, you see, we will do our investigation.
Okay.
If the story doesn't sound right, the adoption won't go on.
Oh.
But what if they come lying to us that we are not able to detect? We do our investigations. We go around to find out. But if they say this is what the story is, the mother is sick, they give us something to show the mother has a mental problem, and all those things. And then we go on with the procedure. There are problems that can come at the end of the day. So for a relative adoption to go on, we need to be able to check to see if it's in the interest of the child.
Good. Okay.
If it's in the best interest of the child.
Okay.
If even it is necessary for that adoption to take place. Why can't the one going to adopt the child, why can't that person support you
rather than taking the responsibility upon themselves?
But often people do not know. There is something we call foster care.
Yeah.
You get it? With foster care, you are taking care of the child for the state or for your sister or for somebody. You get it? So the child has not permanently become yours.
That's right.
Foster care is not permanent, it's temporal. It will definitely end someday.
Okay.
Either the child turns 18 years and no more becomes a foster child, or the child goes back to the biological parents that you took the child from, or the child could even get adopted. You get it? Either by the foster parent or by somebody else. So all these things ends foster care. So often people say, I want to support my sister's child. I want to support my brother's child. If you want to support, then you should be looking at foster care, not adoption.
Oh, I see. So with foster care,
yes,
you can still support your sister or brother's child temporarily. But you cannot permanently take away the child.
No.
And assume responsibility fully.
You see, so the child could be with you.
Okay.
Okay, you can assume responsibility. But the law does not transfer the rights from the biological parent to you.
To you.
You get it? Once the child is with you, you are responsible for the child. Okay.
Kwekwe, I want you to come in.
We
on this
need
one
a serious education on this
Yes,
thing.
we do.
Because prior to what we know, where we're coming from.
Yes.
Oh, I've got a little brother. Would you let him come and stay with you?
Yes.
And we take it like that.
Yes.
But you don't own them. And that, from what he's saying, the first one is what we've been knowing all these while. But
that's what we've been doing, unknowingly.
Yes, unknowingly.
Yeah.
And the adoption one has a legal implication.
Yes.
And now look at what he's saying. That look, at the end of the day, you, the real father, you are no more the father.
Yes.
Somebody else has taken the meaning of it. And so a time is going to come, the child grows up, and it goes like, who is my father? That is another complication. Yeah. We need to look at it again.
Early on, you were saying something about the fact that, okay, I have a relative whose son or daughter I wish would be completely mine because maybe they are not in the right standing to take care of the child. So I want to do that. You were saying that, okay, you take the child, you are taking care of the child. Maybe the child reaches 18, 20, has blossomed to become a beautiful or a handsome young man who is doing so well for himself and all of that. Then the parents by birth decide to come in and want to assume responsibility and, accuse you of saying, all those things. Someone, I want you to address this part where you are saying that totally and completely, when you go to the legal process of the adoption of this relative of yours, you as the parent the parent that is giving away your child, you no more have rights over the child. But there's that possibility of some years later, you wanting to come back and assume responsibility.
So this is it. If the parent of the biological parent of the child who is giving the child out for adoption is sane,
okay,
or if the parents are alive, because most of the relative adoption cases come from parents, biological parents who have mental disability or have passed.
Right.
But if they are alive and they are sane and they were able to provide something to show why they don't want their child, because somebody can give birth to 10 children and the 11th one, the person has a genuine reason, you understand? And so if the parent is sane, what happens is that once the relative adoption is going on, the parent will have to give consent, parental consent for adoption. And a form will have to be completed by the biological parent, which will be notarized.
Okay.
So that is a legal document that you are relinquishing your right over the child to the state first.
Okay.
Because in the relative adoption, before your child goes to your relative who is adopting the child, you have to first of all relinquish the child to the state.
Exactly.
The state is taking full control over your child, assessing your relative, and then before now, allow your relative to adopt the child. So relative adoption has this thing that before the adoption even gets completed, the parent may have told the state that I don't have any ties with this child, no relative at all. So because that biological parent is your relative, they just become an auntie or an uncle to the child. Once the adoption is completed.
Oh, I see.
Exactly. Okay. So in future, if they come naming the child, there are repercussions to that. You can take them to court. You can sue them because there are documents to show that they are not.
You relinquished your rights to the child.
Exactly.
So whoever is in that domain must understand what you're doing. Come tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not now.
It's not now.
We always assess ourselves the difficulty we find ourselves in present times.
Yeah.
But we have forgotten that the tomorrow aspect, that is the pain. Then you will see the bigger family will go, we told you, you see, you've gone to sow your
And so in the instance that even the biological parent is passed, we need a family head.
Nice.
Okay? We need a family head to declare, statutory declaration that the whole family have sat down and have agreed that you are the best person to take care of this child because our relative is passed.
Yes.
You know, when it comes to tradition too, you have a relative who passes. Then this relative left children. Oh, by the way, let me do this one. Viewers, please join us on our social media platforms. Our WhatsApp number is 055-157-5757. go to our Facebook page. It is Joy Prime TV. Kweku Edumata is here. Some Anaglate are here. Please, he is here also, please. Any questions that you have in relation to adoption, they will answer it all for you. Do not hesitate to ask. The WhatsApp number is on your screen right now. Pick it and ask your questions. So I was saying that tradition, there are, let's say your father passes. With accounts, after your father passes, after the whole funeral and all of that,
Fantastic.
Then maybe your mom too is not alive. It's just you, the children. But traditionally, they have used by word of mouth to say, as soon as you know, so no obedi wadie, obedi upapa adie. So he assumes responsibility over the children.
Okay.
But there is nothing paper-like, legalized.
So let me explain that, and I'll go back to foster care.
Okay.
So this is the thing. That is foster care.
Okay.
There are two forms of foster care.
Okay.
We have the formal foster care and then the non-formal foster care.
Okay.
Okay. So the formal foster care is the one that social welfare will assess a foster parent and license the foster parent. And then based on the child's condition, place this child with the foster parent. Sometimes in the instance of relatives, social welfare even comes in and then decides that because of the abuse this child is going on with this particular parent, we are moving the child from here to another family member who we think is best fit to care for the child.
Okay.
That becomes formal.
Formal, yeah.
But then the non-formal foster care is the one that the whole family have sat down and have arranged and said, we are agreeing that the child should go to this person. That is also foster care. So what you just described, it's already in our law. It's foster care.
Okay.
You get it? So what a lot of people say, and I have adopted my sister's child, and I've adopted my sister.
You are foster caring?
They are fostering the child.
Fantastic.
You can also call it kinship care.
Okay.
Kinship care is still foster care. You get it? So kinship care is when you take care of your relative's child or a very close family friend that is known by the child. That is kinship care. It is still the same as foster care. You get it?
All right, Mr. Edward.
The most pathetic aspect is when the actual parents are dead or had gone insane.
Yeah.
That is where you need to have that human touch and that emotional aspect to it.
Right.
Because the real fathers are not there.
Yeah.
So when I adopt, it's mine.
Yeah.
But then if they are there, then the foster aspect will work.
Yes.
And when it does, please don't involve yourself too much in the growing of the child.
Stay away?
No, you don't stay away, but you don't come directing as to what you want because you think is yours or is yours.
Yeah.
That is what the problem is.
Yeah.
So even though I agree with you that, as it were, we just want to see how we can help your sister's daughter. But the way the mother is doing has a casualty. And that is where probably some of them ought to come in and help.
Yeah, this is quite complicated because I have seen a lot of people come around the office, a lot of them quite grown, saying that they have taken care of their sister's children. They use their whole time caring for her. And then the children went to university and then they went back to their families. You get it? At the end of the day, I believe that the child will still recognize that you took care of me.
So even though you have relinquished the rights to a relative to take care of your child, this child grows up.
Yeah.
The child has the right to say that I want to go back to my actual parents.
You mean after adoption?
After adoption?
Yeah, once the child turns 18 years.
Yes, 18.
He or she has the right to do that.
Right now. Okay. You can decide to take somebody's mother as your mother and decide to take care of that person. Your parents can say anything.
Right.
It's just the same procedure.
Yes, it is.
And the thing about adoption is that all you need to do when you foster or you adopt or you come in contact with any child that you are taking care of, give that child the right love that he deserves.
Hold that thought for me. Speaking about the right love, I want to go on our social media platform. Let me just take one message that will continue that part of the conversation. The issues with adoption, especially spiritual, only happens with blacks. Whites will never come back and say certain things, or the child having spiritual stuff. Hey, Kobe Bini, Silas from Sunyane. Hey, Silas, wait there. Anyway, so then comes my question of, at a point where now, okay, you have the child. By God's grace, you've gone through the process. You now have full responsibility, full rights over this child. What if maybe, you have other children, you have one child or something. What exactly, and I want to come to Mr. Dumata on this one. How can that child not feel less within this, new family that he or she would find herself?
So in a more real sense, it's like a step son.
Yes, so a step daughter.
Now, the moment you and I, as it were, we have married, we've got whatever, and we are bringing another one, this is where you need to now set up boundaries. If I do goes away and me back, there's division.
Yeah.
We have a problem.
Yeah.
No, when you bring in that divided act, you've lost it. But what it ought to do is that bring the two together. This is your sister, this is your sibling, this is how you're going to go, and this is who we are. So if you can do that and nobody can change the dynamics as to how we are growing you the two up, then you are in the spirit. But that is where you see, you'll be sure be back. You understand what I'm saying? One can say background and saying, and I'll be back. So you need to be tough. And the two of you, I always say that you should be at par. The man and then the husband should reason together. You shouldn't sort of divide and separate and then say that, oh, this is what we want, this is what I want. No, it's about us. All that I'm saying is that every child is not from bush. So God says godly offsprings. So if you want to cater for the child, then let the God element be in. And just like Sami is saying, because we are humans and you might probably maltreat the children, the state will come in support. Not true?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Oh, you're not too sure. Please, pull over.
Yeah.
But if you can, be there and let it be godly offspring. I always say that every child is a special person.
Yeah.
When the child grows up, it gets to a point and says, Papa. Oh, hallelujah. I have done that for God.
Yeah.
I have done that to help you to get to where God says I should do.
Yeah.
It's a sacrifice. I have given it to you. If you can have this stuff, you'll grow better. But that thing
is difficult.
It's so difficult.
Let's be very realistic.
Yeah, you see, this, and I'll go back to the earlier point I made. All you need to do is to show love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you love the child, give that child the right. Why do you think our children love us the way they do?
Go.
Because give them genuine
love.
So nobody can come take them away from us. Adopt a child. Give that child that same love. It's just psychology.
Yeah.
The child will love you the same, give you the same amount of love. And nobody, see, let the biological parent come and say, I'm your child, I'm your father. Do you know the story of Balotelli? The Balotelli is a footballer. Yeah. He was adopted in Italy.
Okay.
And then his biological parents, don't use the word, they support him. They loved him so much. Yeah. And took very good care of him.
He was well taken care of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's grown. His biological parents, who are Ghanaian in Italy, now wants to go and sow where they did not rape.
There goes.
He didn't mind them.
Good.
He's so mad at them.
Good.
Just because the adoptive parents gave that love.
Wow.
And it's simple, how do you call it, psychology.
Yeah.
Give the child the right amount of, so sometimes somebody will say, yeah, I said, you get it. So the child is with you. You are taking care of the child. Every now and then, insulting the child, telling the child things, not showing the love.
Yeah.
You get it. You will never get the connection that you want. That bond will never be formed.
If you know that's what you're even going to do, why do you adopt the child in the first place?
So they take the child and then they feel like, okay, and that is, and this brings me to my next point. I always say, if you are coming to adopt because you think you are coming to help a vulnerable child, then adoption is not your place.
You got it wrong.
Oh,
yes.
Adoption is equated to biological children according to our laws.
Okay.
So if you give birth to your own child, are you giving birth to the child because you want to give that child, you are seeing that child as a charity project?
Aye.
No, it's true, because once you adopt and you see the child as, oh, okay, I have my money and God has blessed me, I want to adopt the child.
Yeah, let me just go get
the child. You start seeing the child as
a charity project.
Yes. Listen, the law of adoption says that adoption only begins when a child needs a parent.
Fantastic.
Not when a parent needs a child. And let me explain this. Adoption process only is started when there's a child that's available who will need a parent to give that child.
Fantastic.
So if you come and tell us that I want to adopt, there's no child that is looking for a parent at the time. Yeah. So you may not get a parent. So children are children wherever they find themselves. Whether you give birth to them, that is a child.
Yeah.
Need a mother's love, care, and protection.
Yeah.
Whether they were born by a mentally derailed person and then was brought into the system, they need what? A mother's love, care, and protection. So if you are coming to adopt because you think that you have something to offer to the state, please, we'll register as a foster parent.
Okay.
Over their children, they need people to take over so that they go back to their biological family.
All right, so let me read this message. Hi, good morning. Please, is adoption only for couples or single people can also adopt? I think there was an age cut to it that you mentioned last week.
So adoption is for whether you are married or unmarried.
Okay, all right. All right, so unfortunately, my goodness, our time is up.
Let me say this in passing.
Okay.
You see, when you adopt, you are still ought to parent. When you give birth, you are still supposed to parent. So we need to understand the faculty of parenting. And that's what Sammy said.
Okay.
If the love is not there, you don't have the acumen to make sure that the child can grow. That is what Balotelli said. Get out of my sight. These are my real parents. So we need to understand these things.
We need to
parenting.
Understand. Yeah.
Let's get it right.
All right, viewers. So next week, God willing, we are going to have a couple in the house, a couple who have adopted a child, and they're going to share their true life story with us. They're going to express everything with us right here on Prime Morning during Let's Talk Relationship. So please make sure that you do gear up yourself for that as well. So that's it for Let's Talk Relationship right here on Prime Morning. My guests have been Anaglate, who is the Vice Principal for School of Social Work. Thank you so much, Sammy, for your time. And the life coach, Kweku Edumata. Thank you so much, sir, for your time this morning.